Hello, everybody. Welcome to Rewind and Reflect, where we believe in the universal truth that there's no such thing as coincidences or mistakes, and we're here to share our life experience on that with you. My name is Deb Miller.
Hi, everybody. I am Susan Doyle. I have to say that we did that intro good. No
I
giggling
know I
today.
didn't giggle at
Giggling.
all.
Gosh. Hi, everybody. I'm Kristen Long. Sorry, Kristen Dean.
Whoa, she
Whoops.
almost forgot her last name.
Whoa.
You
All
went
right.
back
It's
to being
Friday. It's
married
Almost
for a
Friday.
typed
second
it
there.
too. I don't know.
It's
Well,
Friday. She's
we're
allowed.
excited because it's Friday and we have the most special guest on today. I'm so
Whoop,
excited.
whoop.
My dear friend. I'm going to introduce her and then she's going to share with us her most amazing gifts that she has been given. Um, Everybody, this is Elle Hawks, and Elle is a clairvoyant intuitive with a PhD in expressive arts who bridges the worlds of spirituality, creativity, wellness, and personal growth. Her clairvoyance often presents as clear inner imagery and energetic awareness, which she uses to guide clients towards insight, healing, and empowered choice. Her intention is always to create space that feels grounded, compassionate, and just a little bit magical. And she is magical, and she has helped me in many ways on many days to just ground, excuse me, ground myself.
It's
That was
Friday.
hard.
We're burping.
That
Good
was
Lord.
that was like a weird
We're
hiccup. I
forgetting our
don't even know what that
names.
was.
Elle, like
But
we all need help here.
I know,
Yeah.
Elle. So I'm really excited that you're joining us today. I want you to talk about all things magic, clairvoyant, intuitive, all that stuff. And I know our audience is going to come away with some really incredible tools for when we're not feeling very grounded or we feel like the earth is shaking under our feet, whether it's emotionally, physically, spiritually, however that is. And I'm sure you're going to give us some really amazing tools. But why don't you start us off by just telling how you came into this? How did you know that you had these special gifts?
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you for having me. I think this was a process. Well, I know it was a process that unfolded over many years. Growing up, even, I think I had some of these intuitive moments, but never really gave them any weight. I remember one of my first memories, I think, in having to do with intuition was I was at my grandparents' house when I was a little girl. I was probably 5 or 6, maybe 7. And I said to my grandma, Grandma, what happened to that tire swing that was on the tree across the street? And she just gave me this really strange look and said, That tire swing hasn't been there in like 30 years or
Oh,
something, decades. And so I remember it stuck with me because I was like, why am I seeing a tire swing? Like, what's wrong with me, kind of. And so that was sort of my first memory. And then the second thing that happened as a little girl, I think I was about 8. My mom's mother went into the hospital and she was supposed to just have a stent put in for her heart. And I just had a knowing that something was not right. And when the phone rang, I said to my sister, like, is she gone, essentially? And she
mm.
had passed. My grandmother had passed. So it was those couple of things when I was young. But then I think as we grow older, we're encouraged a little bit to not give as much attention to these types of events or, that they're more coincidence than pattern. And so it wasn't until college when I started sort of playing with the tarot cards again. Except for I would say there was an in between in middle school when a really dear friend and myself we would play with the Ouija board.
Ooh, that
Mm.
scares me.
And
Debbie and I would play with the Ouija
I
board too, but
don't
we
like it.
didn't
It
have any idea
scares
what we
me.
were doing.
it
Mm.
was really fun until it kind of wasn't. And so I think it spooked me enough to not do that for some time. And so then in college, I started playing with some tarot cards. And I thought that it was connected to drinking. So I would joke with friends like, "Oh, I'm psychic when I'm drinking." And I think that that's because, if we have some drinks, we feel that maybe we're a little more uninhibited. But the reality is that we can tap into these gifts without alcohol, without drugs. And in fact, I believe that they're clearer without having these elements in the way. And so one of the things that happened was I went to see John Edward, who's a medium. I don't know if you
Mhm.
know him. He had a show called Crossing Over, I believe in the 90s. That was very popular. He's one of the original really well-known mediums. And so I was
Mhm.
really interested in his TV show, and then I got to see him live like, around the same time, early college. And I thought, I want to do that. I think I can do that. And so I started sort of playing around with it, and I thought I was just pretending. But there was this moment, I went to a bar and I had just seen John Edward, and I went up to this stranger and I said to him, your girlfriend, she's really concerned and her name's Allison and she has red hair. And I started describing her
Oh my
to this
God.
boy in the bar and he looked like petrified. He's saying, "Who put you up to this? And how do you know her?" And I'm scaring myself because I'm like, I have no idea, but I'm like, and she thinks this and she looks like this. And then I thought, my gosh, maybe there's something here, maybe there's something more to this. And it sort of continued that way where I was playing with the cards. I had a little deck when I moved to Newport. I had picked up a little deck. I think it was at um like a little yard sale. It was this mini tarot deck. And so I started playing with it more and more during that college time. So
Just learning it and just learning how the cards work, and then you started kind of doing readings on people, and that
yeah,
kind of developed
so
into its own a career, right?
so I didn't quite start doing readings yet. I just would play with them with friends, and again, I was associating it with drinking, and looking back, I think that was just sort of a way of trying to understand what I was very you know, sort of curious about, and so I would play with it more during that time. And then I met my husband in Newport, and I felt at this time in my life, I was getting some very clear signs. And I had moved to Newport. Well, I had rented an apartment with some girls in Newport, and this is where I was using the little tarot cards. And I wasn't sure if I should move here. And when I answered their Craigslist ad and I came to this apartment, it was my favorite number, which was 8. And it was on Friendship Street, which was,
Mm-hmm.
I thought, a sign at the time. And it was across from a hospital because I was going through some medical things. So I thought, well, I'm very safe. I have a hospital across the street. It's Friendship Street. It's my favorite number. And when I walked up the stairs, and I wrote about this in a memoir, which has not yet been published, but has been on the publishing shelf for about decades. And when I walked up the stairs, there was like a church window. It was like one of those stained glass windows. And it just struck me like, oh, I'm in the right place, right now. And so this was a very important time in my life where I started paying more attention to my intuition. And I met my husband not soon after that. And I played with the tarot cards with him one of the first times that I met him. And I'm going, oh, they're just for fun. It's no big deal. And I pull like the marriage card, like the
Mm-hmm.
second card. And I'm like turning all beet red. And I'm like, well, they're not always like accurate. And I'm like reading the description and it was like, you will be married soon to the person. I'm like,
Oh,
oh
geez.
no. So I'm like trying to hide the card, like not scaring him away. But I have found time and time again. So now I've been playing with the cards for over 20 years and I have found them to be very accurate. And I don't know how.
Mm.
I don't know how. And so I will tell my clients, because I work at a hotel here in Newport, and the Vanderbilt Hotel. They contacted me actually out of the blue and they said, "Hey, would you like to come read tarot for us on Saturdays? You can set your hours." And I said, "Wow, that sounds pretty amazing." So I'll tell my clients that I'm shuffling the cards, and if I see a card and I'm not sure about it, I'll put it back in the deck and I'll keep shuffling. And if it comes up a second or a third time, I know that it's meant to be a message for them.
Mm.
So around this time in my 20s, when I had met my husband, things started getting stronger and stronger. And I write about this. This was one of the nonfiction pieces I did have published. I write about a feeling that I felt death was coming to someone in our family. And I write about how it felt like this hurricane swirling above us. And I'm trying to talk to death. I don't know how I knew that it was death, but it felt very heavy. And I'm negotiating with death, is what I write about in this one piece. I believe it's called Weightless but Heavy. And I don't remember exactly which. It was a nonfiction journal that ended up publishing it. And I talk about trying to negotiate to say, please wait. I
Mm.
was pregnant with my boys at the time. Please don't take anyone, right now. And about 6, maybe 9 months later, my husband's younger brother passed. It was a
Mm.
very tragic passing. And so I thought, well, this is what that was. And so I started becoming more spiritual because I was close with him and he had passed, and there were certain things that happened when I just went, this is him. This is definitely him. Like I was lighting a candle that I had gotten for him, and it was blown out, and the flame came back on.
Mm.
Yeah.
There was a person who's our landscaper and a friend of ours, and he pointed to a photo in our kitchen and he said, "Who is this person?" And he said, "I saw this person down at the property where your father-in-law had purchased his property down by the water. And he came and he was talking to me the other day. Who is he?"
Oh my God,
Oh my
Elle.
God.
Looking
I
at
didn't
him.
know that.
Yeah, my
Wow.
husband was with me and we're looking at him and he goes, "What?" And we say, "Are you sure that this was him? Was this maybe our other friend Dave who you've met?" He said, "It was the person in this photo." And my husband said, "That's my younger brother. He passed about 3 years ago." And our
Mm.
landscaper's face turned absolutely white and he walked out of the house. He just was amazed by what we were explaining. And I was amazed too. So there were very specific moments where I felt like I was being called into the spiritual world, and that was one of the moments.
But Elle, let me ask
Yeah.
you this about that. Does that mean that the landscaper has the gift to see
Mm.
beyond the veil?
Yeah.
I
Like,
I think so. I do think so. And I think that many of us do have that gift when we're open to it.
mm-hmm,
And I
Mm.
think what helps us to be open to it, because I'm still processing how does that work? Because sometimes I'm 100% accurate and sometimes I'm off.
mm-hmm,
And I'm trying to figure out how do I strengthen that accuracy. And I think that from what I've studied and what I've practiced, being in this meditative state, which they call, you're in your autopilot, so to speak, when you're in the shower, when you are driving, when you are most relaxed, when you're getting a massage. These are times when you're more open to getting these messages. So I believe that because our landscaper too is very connected with nature, he's outside,
mm,
he's more, in line, I think, with being open, that maybe this was a place. I also think the property that we're on is very special.
mm,
And I'm not sure, has a very long history with Newport. I think that this property is part of why I was drawn to it, and why that this, spirit was able to connect with our
Can I
land.
ask a quick question, Al,
Yeah.
on that very subject? Because I feel
Yeah.
like I'll forget. I'm a bit of a skeptic. You and I have talked before. I'm becoming more connected and more of a believer. What can you tell the audience and us what the conversation was? Did the landscaper talk to you about what they said to each other? Because
Yes. Yes. He said he was showing him his phone. That my brother-in-law was
Mhm.
showing the landscaper the phone and was saying, "Did you know about this accident? Did you know about this car, this truck?" And so the conversation, I don't think was the important piece, but they did
Mm.
have a conversation. And then he did say, because this is a 2 acre property, so the landscaper did say that this person started walking away and he looked back and he was gone. So
Okay.
I think it was just the spirit's way of trying to connect with someone who knew the family because he said he mentioned in the conversation, "Oh, my father-in-law, his name, it would have been his father. Does he know about this car?" So I think that if he had come directly to my husband and I, we would have just passed out and fallen over.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
think
Mhm.
he tried to use a roundabout route where he knew the message would get to us eventually. And I also think that they, you know, can sort of lead people on the path to get us a message.
Wow.
It's so
So that
cool.
was
So,
Love
that was
that.
one of the moments where to me, it's undeniable.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
so I have
You
a
and I,
question.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, how does it come to you? Is it like a physical feeling like in your gut, or is it like a thought that you explore? Like how, I know you said you need to be open to it and you need and I understand that, but like, you know, do you get them all the time, like standing in the supermarket line, or is it just this stirring? Explain like how you know it's coming.
I think that's a great question, and I think it can come in a variety of ways. I was chatting with Deb the other day, and I just said part of this process for me has been learning to distinguish between an anxious thought or image that I'm afraid something will happen, like to my boys,
Mm.
who are 10, or if it's a message from what I believe is more spirit. And I've developed now where I feel I can tell the difference that I'm thinking about it, and it's more
Hmm.
just that I'm projecting this idea, or it's actually being given to me as a message. So in the last 2 years, this has gotten much, much stronger for me, and it comes in a variety of ways. I smell things that are
Mm.
related to people or clients. For example,
Interesting.
I've smelled red wine very strongly in my car to the point I was
Oh,
looking
that's me.
for,
No,
like looking for well, I had just met
that's
with a
me.
client. And again, since I was driving, I was in that auto
Mm.
mode. I'm looking all around my car for this. I mean, I
Open
don't drink
bottle of wine
drink
that
at this
smells.
point in my life.
Yeah.
I
Hmm.
haven't drank in 5 years, and I'm going, is there grape juice that went bad? Like
Mm.
it was the most strong. It's like if you feel like it's in your nose. So I have smelled things, I have tasted
wait,
things.
hold on. Back to the smell. So you said you were just with a client or you were on your way to see a client. Did that have any that and that had
Yeah,
something
so
to
I
do with
had just seen a client, and I tell my clients that something might come up after I've met with them because maybe I go
Mm.
home and shower, or maybe I go for a drive, or maybe I go for a walk, and I will still be given messages about this person. So I did contact the person after, and I said, I have this very strong red wine smell. It will not go away. And what happens is that if it's a message that I really need to deliver, it gets stronger, whether it's I'm hearing it audio or I'm seeing it visual or I'm smelling
Until you deliver it, it'll
till
just
I
keep getting
deliver the message.
stronger until you actually release it.
Absolutely. And so I did. I contacted the client and she said that was my mom's favorite drink. She had to give it up because she was sick.
Oh
Oh,
my gosh.
Yeah.
Does
Yeah.
that happen
wow.
often where something ancillary will come to you after you leave the clients, like because you started digging into some things and then, you have a moment that's the vibration's a little bit lower and then something comes to you,
It
like
happens
afterwards.
sometimes. It happens sometimes. I think I'm also getting a little bit better at creating that protection and clearing myself and shutting it off because you don't want this interfering all the time. But I find it to be so cool. Like I was at the dentist because I mean, I'm not relaxed at the dentist, but I guess I was relaxed enough because I had headphones on. I'm getting a name over and over, this name. And I'm like, what is this name? It was a name like Norwich or NORAD, or it was like some strange name. And I'm like, I don't even know if I'm hearing this name the right way. And this lady, she was cleaning my teeth. She's going to think I'm absolutely nuts. But again, it's getting louder and louder. So she finishes cleaning my teeth, and I go, I know this does, I'm a intuitive. I know this is going to sound strange, but is there a name like Norwich or NORAD? And she goes, yes, why? And I said, well, sometimes I hear names and it's usually not someone who has passed. It's usually for me a pattern of someone who you need to reconnect with.
Mm.
And this was the last name of someone she had been engaged to 8 years ago.
Oh my God.
And I mean, I'm as amazed as you are because I'm
Stop
going, yes,
it.
that's the name. And she goes, we haven't spoken in 8 years. I said, well, this to me has just been a nudge to create some closure or reconnect with the person. I said, they might be just needing some support. And if it's detrimental that you think it might not be good for you personally to reconnect, my advice has been to just do some sort of closure ceremony,
Mm.
and you can send the person thoughts in your mind, which is telepathy, a whole nother thing that I'm diving into. But so I don't think you need to disturb your peace if you think it's
Mm.
going to disrupt you. But I do think that our souls have a way of passing messages to each other, um, you know, whether you're alive or not alive.
I
Mm.
love that. That's
That's so
so great.
cool.
That was another
Did
instance.
she reconnect with him or
I'm not
I
sure. I
have
mean,
all the
I don't
Well,
stories.
know.
go
I
get
All
always,
your
the,
teeth
yeah,
cleaned again.
I always tell
My
my
God, we need
clients,
to
We,
know this.
yeah.
we
I
won't know for
ask
another
for
six
people to
months.
follow up,
Yeah.
but they usually don't. And I really
Insurance will not
appreciate
allow us to know for another six
6
months.
months. It's all
I
right.
think that
It'd be a
that's
cool
so
love story.
cool.
And
Like,
one other example I'll give you. This has been happening more recently, because we're on our phones so much.
hmm
It is almost coming in like a text message at times. So it's like ding.
Yeah.
My sister had a very tragic fire in her house about 4 years ago and lost both of her cats.
Mm.
So we've talked about her, and she wasn't ready to get a new cat. So about 2 months ago, I got this message, and I'm starting to know, okay, this is a message from spirit. Ding, it's time for a cat. So I message her. I say, Shannon, I think it's time to get a cat. And she goes, when we know it's the right one, we'll know for sure, we'll know when it's time. And I said, okay. So I go about my day. 2 days later, I call her. How's it going? Oh, good. I'm just giving the cat some eardrops. And I go, what cat? Oh, she goes, what do you mean? You messaged me. I said, yeah. I said, I got a message that it was time for a cat. I said, you actually got a cat? She goes, oh, I thought mom told you. I was on the way to see her older son, and they were going to look at cats because there was a cat mom who had just had some kittens. She said, I thought mom told you that we were going to look at the cats. I said, no, I got this message
ah,
Oh.
and they actually got a cat like the next day. So it's things like that where I'm just being sent in different ways, these messages that I need to pass on to other people when I get them.
does your sister have this gift?
Um, I don't think that she has it in the same way. I know she's very interested in the spirit world. Another thing that happened is that her second husband, passed away very suddenly. She was 42 and he was 60, so there was an 18-year difference. And they had been married for a year and a half. And I had been having a couple of dreams where I was dressed in black and I was walking to some sort of funeral, and I didn't know who it was for. Now, certain dreams, people will agree on this that are intuitive, and even people that aren't practicing this. If you have a dream that is so clear, it feels real, and you wake up and you remember every detail, that is a message. That is more than
Mm.
just a dream. That is either a visit from someone or it is a premonition of something. And so this has happened to me throughout my life. And so I was so scared of this dream. I did not know who was going to pass. I thought I was the widow in the
Mm,
scenario.
Mm.
And so he had a massive heart attack. He passed. And not long after the dream, I find myself in this black, standing, helping her choose the coffin.
mm,
And so I think that once that happened in her life, she started becoming more interested and connected to the spirit world
mm,
also, you know. And so I do believe that people have more tendency to the gift, but I also believe that many people, most people, do have the ability to tap into this gift if they want to, if they want to be open to it, you know?
Is it
So
hard
like
to
there's
do on demand, meaning like somebody's paying you for a session?
yeah.
Like, is it hard to do it on demand rather than just, going about your life and you get a message or, allowing it, I guess, to come to you not on scheduled time, paid time? Does that make
Yes,
sense?
yes, it
And I
is.
don't mean to sound like you know what I mean? It's like I understand that this is a gift, but it's also your business,
yeah.
Yeah.
right? So, it's you do have to call upon it
Yes.
at a scheduled time.
It is.
How is that difficult?
It is. And you know, like I said, it also depends on the clients who come in, how open they are to receiving messages and if they are believers, you know, so to speak. So I do a visualization, which you've done with me.
Hmm.
And so I ground the person. I have them imagine that roots are growing from the bottoms of their feet. And then I get an image of where they should be placed. In other words, I've had people, many times I'll do the beach. Sometimes I've put people in Egypt. I've seen rainforests. I've put someone in outer space. So I get an image of where they need to go for the visualization. I have them release the roots down towards the core of the earth. And then I also have them release an anchor. And it's a little bit of a hypnosis meditation. Then they pull the light up, and I pull that light through their body. Most times I can feel in their body if there is something that's bothering their body. So I can feel if their hip is hurting or if their stomach is hurting or if they're having anxiety in certain ways. And the clients will then, at the end of the visualization, I'll ask them, do you have pain in this part of your body? And they'll confirm many times, yes. One time I'll explain, the first time I was doing a visualization and I saw a lighthouse. So I did a lighthouse visualization with them. And at the end, I said, okay, this was, you know, how I felt going through the body. And I said, I was drawn to a lighthouse. I've never had a lighthouse visualization before. Is there a particular reason why I would have seen a lighthouse for you? And it turns out that they had spread the ashes of their mother at a lighthouse, at this particular lighthouse. So I believe I'm given a place to put the person that is usually significant for them, or that will be very relaxing for them. But if the person's really not open to this, or their wife told them to come, or their friends brought them and they aren't really into this idea of tarot or spiritual, it can create a block. And it is challenging sometimes. There are certain clients that I just cannot connect with very well because they have this little bit of resistance. And if people come in more open, then I can connect much more easily with them, you know, and then it's more pleasant for everyone involved,
Mm.
Mm,
you know, because I don't want to feel like it's a party trick. I was asked to do a Halloween party at a mansion, and they said, you know, we're going to pay you whatever you want, and you're going to be in the basement. We're going to have a disco ball, and you're going to be in the corner. And
Mm.
I
Oh,
said,
so you're like a caricature.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, that's not how I do this work.
Yeah.
Right.
I cannot be in a disco room. I can't be doing one card at a time. I have to do this process, and it usually is a 30-minute session.
And quiet, right? Oh,
Yes.
quiet. Yeah, not like a party.
Sometimes if there's vacuuming happening at the hotel or there's guests downstairs
Mm,
having cocktails, like I really need to try and block out things that are happening around me. Which is why the headphones are helpful too. When
mm,
I can do this on Zoom, it's been successful on Zoom, and so I do offer Zoom as a connection on my website. I can do 30-minute Zooms, or you can book a 30-minute in person at the Vanderbilt, and I try and get into the person's mindset a little bit before our session. If I know that I'm scheduled, I can just start thinking
mm,
about them, and sometimes I can picture what I think they look like. I feel a little bit of their energy. Sometimes I pick up something. There was a client coming at the Vanderbilt, and I was getting a message to give her a set of cards. So I had an extra set of cards, and I put it on the chair before she came in. And I met her. She was lovely. We had, I said, I don't know why. This has only happened one other time. I said, I have many clients, but I was asked to gift you this set of cards. And she said, "Oh my gosh, are you sure?" I said, "Yes, I don't know why, but maybe we'll find out in the session." So we go through the session, and it turns out she's leaving the business world and she wants to become a spiritual practitioner. I was given a message that she should be leading churches, that she's turning into a
Hmm.
more of a divine. So, sometimes I will be given a message for someone before I meet with them,
Mm.
but it's all very, it's
these are the
very
cards that you gave
individual.
to me.
Yeah.
Oh,
I use
look.
many different types of cards.
Yeah.
And I read many books on the soul. I'm reading The Journey of the Soul. Frederick Dodson wrote a book, The Lives of the Soul. I'm
Yeah.
reading Brida right now, which is a Paulo Coelho book. He wrote The Alchemist. I'm reading a book about a girl who wants to learn about tarot and, believes that she has this gift. So I think that's important for people that are interested in understanding this more. I'm also listening to the telepathy tapes. So I'm sort of,
Which are wild. The
yeah,
telepathy tapes
right?
are crazy.
Right.
Yes.
Do most
Um,
people come to you, Elle, because they want to quote unquote speak to somebody who has passed? They want to give them a message, or they want to
mm,
see if that somebody in their life that's passed, you like a mom, a dad, a sister, a brother, somebody who a friend who's close to them has something for them. Do they look to you? Do most people look to you for that?
Not really. So I don't really consider myself a medium who is someone that
Okay. Do you
this
want to kind of give our audience sort of like
what's the
a
difference?
very
yeah,
brief synopsis of what the difference of these
yes.
avenues are? That would be great.
So I think that people that are intuitive or psychic have different types of gifts. So a medium is someone like John Edward. His specialty is getting messages from people that have passed. And he and Deb and I actually went to see him together. And I asked a question because I was really hoping I would get a reading, but I did ask him about tarot because he was saying that he had played with tarot and then realized he didn't need the cards. And that's kind of the point that I'm at. So a medium is someone who connects more often with people that have crossed. Um, an intuitive or a clairvoyant is what I consider myself. So sometimes I do connect with people that have passed, but I feel like I'm more broad range where I just connect with souls. And so there have been two instances where, or more than two, but in the recent past where I've connected with, most recently, a mom who had passed the year before. And I had some specific messages to give to her daughter. One was that,
Interesting.
yeah, she needed to go to Ireland. I saw a picture of her in Ireland with sisters. I didn't know that she had sisters. I just said, "You're supposed to go to Ireland. You have sisters." She said, "Yes, we were planning this trip before my mom passed. We didn't go." And I said, "Well, I'm seeing a picture of you going." And then I said, "I'm also hearing the word turtle." And she said, "There was a song that we would sing with my mom and my sister, and I thought the lyric was turtle, but it was something else. So we would joke about that."
Mm.
And then there was another couple who I remember very clearly less than a year ago, and they came in and I did the visualization with them. And as soon as I was done with it, I just said, "You've had a loss." And I just felt it through my whole body. And they started tearing up and they said, yes, we just went through a very difficult miscarriage. And I said, I have, an image of, I believe it was a boy. And so I talked through that with them. I also was at a charcuterie class in Christmas time.
Of
And
course she was.
Yeah.
And this is an instance where I'm having fun. I'm relaxed. I'm in my mode. It's like it's an auto drive. It's a massage for me. I'm with my friend and I keep hearing the word poppy, poppy. And the lady running the class, she was very pregnant. She was 7 months pregnant. And I said, I'm sorry. I said, I'm intuitive and I'm getting this name Poppy. I said, is Poppy one of the names that you have chosen? Because she said they had chosen two lists, one for a boy and one for a girl, and they didn't know. And she said, no, that name's not on our list. I said, okay, no worries. I keep hearing the word Poppy. So we're making our charcuterie board. And she comes back over and she goes, you know what? I just looked up Poppy, and it's actually a nickname for one of the names that we have on our list. And I said,
Oh,
that's pretty amazing. I said, because
Ooh.
I think she wants to be called Poppy. So I'm waiting. This was in December. I'm waiting and I'm waiting, and she's not due till the end of January. And I go into my school at the end of January, beginning of February, and my friend comes up to me. I had told her the story, and she goes, she had the baby, and her name is Penelope. They named her Penelope,
oh,
which
that's
is
so
the nickname
happy.
For
Poppy.
Poppy.
Yeah.
So I just,
Oh.
it's very different all the time. And those are sort of my gifts. But I think that, some people have the gift of connecting with the other side. And I think that just the more that you practice, the more that you'll grow strong in that area. So I'm
Mm.
practicing everything. And I think
Hmm.
Hmm.
just figuring out, where I really belong in all of it.
But sometimes do you feel like it zaps you? Like, do you ever feel like, oh God, you need, all of that energy is being taken away from you because you're taking on other people's energies?
Mm.
I feel that way, especially when someone comes to see me but doesn't really want to be
Mm.
there. And it seems like a very long session. It feels like it's unpleasant because our energies are not connecting. It doesn't happen often, but to answer your question, or was it Kristen? No, I think it was Susan. When you asked about what people usually come from, you come to see me for, they usually come to know what they usually ask about family or love
Mm.
when they come to see me. And my philosophy is that time is not linear. So I don't feel that I am seeing the future. I feel that it is all a loop of connection. And I also believe that we have the opportunity to make choices. So we have in one life, maybe you are with this one person, and in one life, maybe you became this famous, guitarist. And the book Midnight Library by Matt Haig, he writes about the idea of choosing, and so I try to explain that to people that this is a possible future, you know, and but you also have some control. But I think that certain pieces are fated, like who you're going to meet, if
Hmm.
it's a soulmate or a soul friend, then I do believe you will meet them in some form or another.
Is that like Deb
Interesting.
talks about? She talks about you've known this person in another life. Is that kind of like that? Like you follow
Yes.
people, okay, souls, whatever. Can I
Yeah.
ask a quick question of going back to the dream thing, Elle? And I know we're getting at time, but I'm not like Debbie is a really talented dreamer,
Oh my
right?
God,
She has these
I was thinking the same exact thing, Kristen. Debbie
these
tells
great
us all the
dreams.
time, like down to the
Yeah,
finest detail and can remember everything. I remember
Everything.
nothing. I don't know
I
about you, Kristen, I'm
remember.
sure.
So yeah, so that's my question is and in fact I called Deb last Sunday because Saturday night I had a dream that was so in my face and so powerful to me And I believe you said it, they could be a premonition.
Yeah.
And I was, I talked to Deb about it and I was like, oh my God, I think this was some sort of message, whatever, whatever. So when you were talking about people paying attention to their dreams, is that like for someone like me who does, and Sue, who we don't dream, we don't remember anything. Like I still remember this dream. I can still feel how I felt. My grandparents always come visit me
Yeah.
in my dreams, and I always have to leave at the end of the dream. That's like a recurring dream, and I'm really sad that I have to leave.
Yeah.
But for people who like me, like Sue, would you say that if someone has a dream like that, to truly really kind of pay attention and maybe, you know,
Yeah.
take heed or make a change or think about it, whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we are given messages in the way that the universe thinks we'll be most comfortable with. So that's why I don't think that, a spirit showing up in front of me in a body form would be pleasant. That doesn't happen for me. So I think people are given at their level of acceptance. And as you grow that tolerance, maybe you get more and more messages. I think also that when you have those types of dreams, it is important to write them down. And if there is something particular, like maybe you miss your grandparents and you'd like them to visit, or a parent passed and you'd like them to visit, set that intention before you go to bed. You could even write it down, or you
Mm.
could just ask in your mind, because I think that the
Hmm.
spirits are more likely to come if they know that we're open to it.
Mm.
And and I do believe that, again, this book called Lives of the Soul by Frederick Dodson is one of the best. I've referenced it all the time. And also, I'm reading now Journey of the Soul. So there's been so much research with this.
I just got the most intense buzzing in my left ear when you mentioned that book.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's something that I pay attention to when my ear starts buzzing,
Life of
that
this.
whatever is being said or was just said to pay attention to. Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
Did you read that
Got
book,
really
Deb? You
loud.
got to get
No,
it.
not that particular. I've read the other ones that she referenced, but not Lives of the Soul. That's what's
Lives
it?
of the Soul,
Yeah.
Frederick Dodson. You know, um, there's many books that talk about these things, and so many experiences are similar.
Hmm.
But I do feel that you have old souls and you have new souls.
Mm.
So new
What does
souls,
that feel like for you? Like what is the feeling that you get, the difference between an old soul and a new
Mm.
soul?
a new soul, you're like, this is your first time around the earth, kiddo.
Yeah.
You got a lot.
Oh boy, here we
Like you
go.
and me, Sue.
It
No,
is
just kidding.
like really,
Yeah, right.
even if they're in their
I
40s,
think I was a bad person at some point.
you
No.
can be an
Jeez
older
Louise.
age, but you still are new to Earth. And then you meet other people and they might be 9 or 10, and you're like, this is an old soul. They've
Yeah.
been here several
Hmm.
times. They're very thoughtful and studious and maybe more serious. And they just sort of seem to have, this way about them, which feels more mature, even though they're younger than you. And many of these philosophers write about how we get to choose our parents when we're souls. That's one of the theories Frederick Dodson talks about. We have certain friends that we meet in many lives. We have a certain partner that we meet again and again and work through certain issues. And that's why when you meet this person, you're like, I know you. I feel like I
Hmm.
know you. I feel like I've spent
Hmm.
eternity with you and it's only been a day because you have spent eternity with them.
Yeah.
Wow.
You have. And the soulmate is hypothetically recognition of yourself in someone else. So your soul is,
Hmm.
I
also
love that.
their soul, and you are sharing, you feel like you're being reunited with your.
I
Lovely.
like what you said about you reconnect with people from previous lives to work through
Mm.
past issues.
Mhm.
Yep.
So you can be in a maybe like an unhealthy relationship, and there's a reason for it because there's something that you are needing to work through from a previous life
Yeah.
or somehow to grow from so that you don't keep repeating the patterns over and over and over again.
Or the
Absolutely.
hygienist after 8 years. Elle's hygienist.
Yep. Another philosopher I really recommend listening to is Wayne Dyer.
Oh, I love Wayne Dyer.
He
Mm.
Love
has
me some Wayne
been
Dyer.
for me, and
Didn't
he
you go see
That's what I
Didn't
was
you
gonna
and Kev
say.
go see him, Deb?
In like New York or
No,
something, Deb?
that was
that was
Brian Weiss.
Brian Weiss. Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
okay, sorry.
So
Yeah.
Brian
Oh, no, no,
Weiss
no.
writes about
Past life
past life
regression.
regression. Um, Wayne Dyer is a little bit of a more um, has less of the mediumship, but he's just more about life philosophy and how
Mm-hmm.
really, be our best version of ourselves. And he does talk about how he was the son of an alcoholic father. He was left by his parents, and he talks about how he believes that as a soul, he said, I want to be a philosopher and a leader, and I want to talk about independence. And they said, and then whoever they are said, all right, well then how about we put you in a foster home and
oh,
give you a family that is very challenging to be with, and you go through that, then you can lead and
Hmm.
talk about overcoming these challenges. So
Yeah,
it's like
right.
these challenges are there so that then we can fulfill
Mm.
purpose. Because if we don't go through these challenges, how are we going to help others go through them and be leaders?
Hmm.
So we kind of
Yeah,
agree as a soul to get into these conflicts and to be in these challenging situations and to figure out how to work through that for our lives.
Mm, so good. Oh my God, we could go on.
that's
We
I
could
awesome.
know.
I
have
know we
We
could.
could go on
so
for
many conversations about this, but we have to
we're
be.
gonna
So,
have Elle back again.
yeah, I think we
love,
need part two. I think we need
Yeah.
part two
and
because
I've started
I
keeping
do,
up with my clients too, so that I can maybe write something down.
Yeah,
yeah.
Mm.
and tell us how they can get in touch. Any listener that wants to have a reading or just connect with you, how can they get in touch with you,
Yeah.
Al?
My company is Recharge Newport, so it's rechargenewport.com.
Hmm.
And you can go to my website and you can click on either book a tarot session live or book a Zoom session. I also do ecotherapy walks here in Newport at this beautiful location. We can book a walk-in talk around, and do that in person. So Recharge Newport.
I love that.
Recharging your battery. We're recharging
Yeah.
your battery
Mm.
for you.
Yes.
And you
Oh,
also
we have
do
a
work with
commonality because my daughter lives in Newport, so it's
Oh,
nice.
wow.
Good for you. It's such a
And
beautiful place.
Elle, you
Sorry.
also work with couples and you do scavenger hunts and you do all these things and connecting people.
So
So,
I've branched out to do a little bit with Newport scavenger hunts because it's really a self-guided retreat of sorts. It's like you want to go by yourself and be thoughtful and look for things out in nature. There's that option. There's bridal parties where they can go and be reflective and really bond together and have this experience to remember their time together. And so I think a lot of this links back together because it's connecting mind, body, spirit, and remembering that finding joy is absolutely necessary as part of our growth. And when we lose those fun experiences, then we are not able to feel fulfilled and happy.
mm. Don't you
I
just love her?
love that.
I love her. Yeah.
I
Oh, I
love
love
that.
her too.
I
Yeah.
love
So
that.
good.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, Elle,
Um,
Having
very
me.
much.
It's great.
it was amazing. What an education. And it's just, it really like when you open your mind and heart to it, it all makes sense.
Hmm.
It really all makes
Mm.
sense, like
Yep.
what you're doing and how it could
Yeah.
really be just so healing for people,
Hmm. Hmm.
you know.
Absolutely.
Really enjoy.
Um,
I do want to be, sharing with people that they have so much power within themselves to heal.
Yeah.
Listen, after this podcast airs, you're not going to have any time in your schedule any longer
Because we are on
because
iHeart
we are on
podcast.
I heard
iHeartRadio.
Rainy.
Amazing. You're doing great things. You're spreading the word that people
Yeah,
need.
it's interesting. Anyway, people can get in touch with us.
Mhm.
We have an email address, rewind and reflect with us at gmail.com. Love to hear, if you couldn't write down or didn't have a pen and paper to write down where you can find Elle, you can email us and we can
connect you.
Send it to you. We are on iHeartRadio now, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, anywhere you want to find us. I've had a couple of experiences in the last couple of days where people have said, "Oh my God, I listened to this episode. It was so great," and blah, blah, blah. So, really, I mean, I know I speak for all of us. We're super appreciative that you take the time to listen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Thank you, Elle, for joining us, and we will
Thank you
definitely
so
have you on
much.
again.
Great.
I think
And
we need a part two. I think we
yeah,
need
for
Elle
sure.
Hawks part two for
Yeah.
Yeah.
sure.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Because I still
absolutely.
have more questions.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah, I do
Fine.
too.
And I'm so
I
happy
will.
to share. I'll keep gathering as much information as I can to share. This was so much fun. Thank you for
Good,
having me.
good. All right.
Thank you
Namaste,
all.
everybody. See you next
Love
week.
you.
Bye,
Bye.
everybody.